The support and for coming out tonight and to support both players. It was a challenging match, as it always is, against Uber. You know, one of the best guys on the tour, definitely. Fantastic personality, very lovable guy. You know, a great relationship with everyone. He's always respectful. I wish him all the best for the rest of the season. I think he's got one of the best serves in the game. So, you know, in the second set, until that 11th game in the second set, I didn't really have too many chances against his serve. You know, he was winning his service games. I also found the rhythm on my serve throughout the second set.
You guys are always the first in the room. You're always the first in the room. Let me turn this off. Oh, you do, Claire? Wow. Yeah. The joke. Actually, the score looked closer than it was, I think. But I like this guy, Hurkacz. Anyway, he's the serves. Man. Yeah, AMA. I'm doing. Dame time, I'm doing. Lucky's, poor Lucky. Alpine is busted? Is that in the news? Yeah, Eric, the Dubai Open is what I was listening to the interview. But there's other tennis going on. And next week, they have the draw for Indian Wells, and I hope they let the Joker in the, I hope they let him in the country, but it doesn't look like they're going to. So I look at this ATP live ranking, and Djokovic is just picked up points. So he's gained 180 points now in Dubai. So he's at 7,160 points, number one in the world. Close on his heels is Carlos Alcaraz, 6,780. And I just, if Alcaraz plays Indian Wells and Djokovic doesn't, I guess he gives up his first place, probably. On the other hand, just remember, he won Wimbledon, did Novak, and they didn't give him any points. That'd be 2,000 points. What's Ham's tweet, Basamo? Let me see. Could the skies be any bluer than they are? A kiss be any sweeter? The eyes be any warmer if we were in love? I'm looking. Oh, yeah. 4 minutes ago, Alpine has a big problem with the SEC. But that's old. To me, that's old news, which is great news, by the way. Oh, he's going to have a call at 3:30. Cool. And he says Alpine should be hung to him soon. You're right, Basamo. You're absolutely right. You're right. You're bloody well right. She doesn't have much to say. Right. You're bloody well right. Really? She played at Wimbledon? I went to Wimbledon. I didn't play. Sorry. I just went. Supreme Court rules 9-0 that bankruptcy filers, this is Dame time, can't avoid debt incurred by another's fraud. Swell. Well, we have Biden's appointee on the Supreme Court. I guess she added in that extra zero. Yep, it looks like a great buy, Matthew Parker Finger. We used to have gallows humor. I remember when over-the-counter stocks went up, and I also remember when companies did financings, they'd go up. I remember news, they'd go up. But we're so fortunate in this country now to have these self-appointed vigilantes operating on our behalf, that as soon as any price action to the upside happens in any over-the-counter stock, they can determine immediately that we're being taken advantage of. And so in the better interests of society, they just start selling shares. But anyway, I remember when there was a flurry of, for quite a while, the thing was to buy companies, announce green mail and all that. But the guy behind me, big tall guy, sardonic wit, if one of the announcements led to the stock going down, he would say, well, it looks like it's a buy under, not a buy out. Chris Daniel, my selling price is going up after 1-800 law firm. Might as well put it high because they got to buy it back. I think that's right, Pizza. And Finger is just a bloody well right. She doesn't have much to say. You're right, bloody well right. I'm just seeing if anybody... Yeah, there's... Wow, third seed. Your friend was third seed? Claire, that's pretty... That's pretty awesome. You're watching from the back of the room. All right, I'm just seeing that I was much less. Let me see if there's anything else on the hamster first. Wow. You're bloody well right. You're right. You're bloody well right. So Basamo said there was news on Ham's Twitterati page, and he's right. Filed 2023, Alpine, in the matter of the application of Alpine Securities Corporation for review action taken today by the NSCC, ordering extension time to issue decision. It is appropriate to extend by 30 days the period within which the decision in this matter may be issued. Accordingly, it is ordered that such period be, and hereby is, extended to March 29th. Vanessa A. Countryman. It's funny how Vanessa is a countryman and Gary is an oldman and Paul is a Newman. Anyway, that highlights the trouble that Alpine is in. You're absolutely right. Let me look at the prices because someone asked, I thought. GTII 134 down 5 cents, 475,000. On a call last night, somebody asked about the volume and being low. 475, a year ago wouldn't have. And to me, low volume in GTII is like we're in the eye of the hurricane, or it's the tide pulling out just as the tsunami is. Kurt Kramer didn't happen to a nice guy. You can't buy class like Kurt Kramer and Seth Kramer. You cannot buy class like that. Okay, CLNV. That's what someone was asking news there, I think. It's up. It was higher today, 749. I have to back off of my enthusiasm for CLNV at least in terms of a massive run to the upside in the near of financing. And I studied the document. They didn't put the terms of the deal. They also are doing it with a company, I forget the name right now, doesn't matter, that's purportedly a $5 billion asset manager. Well, maybe they are, maybe they aren't, but I'm sure they are. But the monies that will flow through that company, I can't prove it to anyone. That's the problem. You can't prove it. But in my opinion, the monies that will flow into that offering, and they'll get commission on it, and they'll put it up that we raised $5 million. It's just going to be money that you and I and others put into the stock. They'll strip it out. Now, having said that, there was a call last night, and I've put out a couple of feelers. I'm not ready to say, one, I can't confirm that it's going to be a toxic note. Two, the company looks like it's a really good story. Three, if you take the press release on its face value, they're raising $5 million, I think, and it's $2.5 million up front and then $1.5 million later. But the 2.5 or 3 million or whatever it is, the first bit doesn't start until they get the due diligence done and some sort of paperwork done. To my opinion, they'll just crime the stock down and then give the company that money as if they actually did any work, and it'll all be done through the short sellers. But I found that out last night, and I've just been wrestling with what I think about it. All I can say right now is my enthusiasm is dialed back a little bit. I don't think they'll do it down here at 6 or 7 or 8 cents. I just can't tell how high it will go before they strip money using fails to deliver, which will then be delivered into the delivery will be the new offering. And it's going to be, then there's another tranche. And, I don't know. It just has some red flags. But I'm not ready to say I'm 100% right either. So I got to listen to, I think from every indication, the CEO is a good CEO and he is fighting the shorts. And it may or may not have been a bad decision on it. He may have had no decision. So anyway, I guess where I come down on CLNV for the time being is if it runs, use your own discretion. But if it runs, that's probably when they will finish the red herring that was filed 2 days ago and announced yesterday. I'm willing to take advice from any of you guys on it. I was shocked that he would announce an offering when the stock was roughly 11 cents. Why not do the offering at $2 or something? But, I'm not the CEO. It's not my decision, and I'm not privy to the pressures he has. MULN, I don't know, it's not still on here. I got to get rid of that, 21 cents. CRTD, 19 cents. 0.188 by 0.99, 243,000. AMC, which was a darling yet again. I got a call. I know I got a call. Down 53 cents at 6:04. And GNS, I have a list here. Down 17 cents to 225. Last point I'll make, I saw it on Ham's Twitter. One of the key differences of the short that is trapped, Kurt Kramer, in GTII, these guys have been selling stock from when it was pennies upward. Now, sure, they got some higher prices to average up, but they have massive amounts of stock at lower levels they sold that when you average that, my guess is their break point is in the 60, 75 cents range. I was cautioned by a weazened? I don't like that word, but I don't like that word either. A gentleman that would know what he's talking about, that I should I'm interpreting it this way. I should let you know that we don't know the exact amount of failed to delivers in GTII. And we just don't. I've said before, and this, I don't emphasize it, but there was a industry professional a year ago that had it up at 450 million. I've never seen the data. I trust the source, but I can't confirm it. The number I've been using is 325 million, and I think it's as good as any. But the fact is, if it were only 25 million or 75 million, you're going to have, if and when are forced to buy in at the same time without regard to the price. Never trade an error.
Welcome, and thank you for choosing free conference calls. Muted.
A knowledgeable dude. What was the Steely Dan song about the dude? All right, Steve Mertz. I got it going. No loan before he got specific? Let me see that. I'm on the Ham call. Sure, Steve Mertz. Hey, Jenny L. Jenny Rebecca. You see the world. I know. I ain't no Richard Gere, and I ain't no Barbara Streisand. I know, I got it.
Everybody, welcome. Again, this is not to buy or sell, educational purposes. You make your own decision. Again, it's complete security fraud, and we're just reporting it to you. And what we believe, what it means to the equities, and I hope it can help you and make your own decisions on fighting this crime. This number one, I'll just start out the MMTL people. Again, we can't force the issue. Winston told me that people in D.C. are standing there and they got your back. That's all I can tell you. He told me point blank. He has calls with groups of, congressmen and senators every day. There's a couple of shareholders that have tremendous friends in D.C. that are stuck in the same stock. I don't know their names, but they know powerful people, and they're all helping to get this unwound for you. I hope it happens soon for you. let's move on to just one other thing. The CNLV, Mr. Benedetto today posted that the company found 40 million counterfeit shares. It's strange that in a world that a guy says that he found 40 million counterfeit shares and the show them still don't cover. I mean, just think how crazy this is. Frank, get the proof, get it to West, sue their ass, give out another dividend, and just keep chunking them. Okay, now we'll move on to GTII. Okay, the SEC just posted, it was a couple of days old. It was just given to me. I don't follow I think it's called PACER, all the documents that come out on these characters.
You can't afford
but the
PACER.
SEC has just given these guys a 30-day extension, and I believe that I just spoke with an attorney, and he said, listen, whatever they're doing, it's not positive for Alpine. Okay, 30 days, they're probably concerned of what's going to happen when Alpine goes away. Okay, just like what happened in Lehman Brothers, they had to work over the weekend, see all the liabilities, what was going on. They have to plan. This could be a tremendous bloodbath in the equity market, and who's going to take all the lumps for it? Okay, so I wouldn't doubt it if they're actually going through whatever records they have on other situations that they're short, and the Kramers and every other naked short on the street is using these characters to flood the market with counterfeits because they look the other way. Okay, this is like the Wild West. Everyone knows these guys are the Wild West, but eventually they got busted for trying to hide their margin requirements, and now they're exposed. Okay, it's not like the SEC is getting the 30 days going to throw these guys a party and say they're Goldman Sachs. All right, Mike Buddy thinks he's an attorney, smart guy. He said that the SEC has huge concerns down in D.C. about the liability. What happens when these guys go away and they get shut down and they're out of business? He said that Alpine, reading the documents, changed their mindset. In the beginning, they were talking about the penalties, and then they talked about their next filing. They were talking about going bankrupt. Okay, so they changed their own game plan because they know it's coming. Okay, and no matter what happens here, the DTC has told us already that Alpine is short their stock. Okay, we have that proof. Winston Churchill has that proof. No company in the entire planet has the proof from the depository trust of these guys being short the stock. This is a crippling blow to the Alpine and all these short sellers. The hardest thing to do is to get discovery, and they gave it to us for free. It's impossible. Pat Byrne spent $30 million and didn't get any proof. Pat Byrne only took $30 million, found out that Goldman Sachs, 75% of their revenues came from stock loans. That's what he got out of a $30 million lawsuit. He squeezed the stock by giving out a special dividend. Okay, but as far as proof goes, no one has what we just have, which we have, that the depository trust is telling us in writing. Everyone can see it. It's all over Twitter. Everyone has it. That Alpine is short this stock. Okay? So all the eyes are going that direction. I'm sure when West files the lawsuit, we know where the sore spot is. We're all going for the same thing. Once we get the discovery, this is the way you have to go. Okay? I just saw the stock at 138, 139, and they printed it 133.50. Yeah, everybody likes to sell stocks down 6 cents. This is how they cross and wash to manipulate stocks. That's the trading in it. I'm just catching it as I'm watching it. But again, the clock is running out on these guys. The game is, I think it's from February 27th. So the clock is running. Between now and the next 30 days, the shit's going to hit the fan. Okay, these guys, it's not like they're going to let them off. Hey, sorry about that. You guys are good guys. The SEC has already got these guys in their sights. The DTC has already told us about the problem. And now we want Christians to slam them and get discovery. Go to the same court that the DTC made its ruling in. We want the same judge to look at it and say, okay, why do we believe that they can short the stock? Well, the DTC told us. Okay, no company has it. Nobody can use this evidence. We have it. It's right there. The knocked it down. Okay? I just got to fight back. This is nonsense. We all know this Charlie Mayo research team, every time GTI came out with news, they sold it down. If the news is out in 1 second, they understood what it meant in 1 second. It's only to sell. So people don't get discouraged. They do the same thing every time on news. The company can come out with the cure for cancer. They'll have one pickup and it goes straight down. They all do the same pattern. It's always the same pattern. Okay? If a company puts the news out before the opening, the shorts will move back, let the stock open it up $2 higher, and by the end of the day, all the new guys who came in and bought it up $2 will be in the red and the stock will be unchanged. That is their pattern of trading. That's why we tell companies never put the news out in the morning. It's unfair to the longs. Put it out in the afternoon. The shorts can't handle it. Okay? We're on the same playing field at that point. Again, so we have the proof from Alpine. We know the DTC told us. Alpine didn't tell us they were short the stock. The DTC told us. Okay? Now the DTC can't go backwards in this statement. We want the proof. And the proof is easy to get once the depository trust told us about it. Now the SEC is after Alpine, and the SEC is granted another 30 days. Why would they grant them 30 days? I'm told the only reason is because they're trying to figure out how to clean up this mess. When you're going to have a mess of a major proportion here. Again, Credit Suisse, these guys lost billions of dollars allowing fraud to go through their system. Imagine if we're right, there's 300 million shares of this stock is short. These guys can lose between $10 and $50 billion. Every dollar, $300 million. Every dollar up is $300 million. They can't cover it. They're going to walk away. Alpine's going to go broke. They're going to say they don't know what happened here. The Kramers are going to walk away. Everyone will be running away, and they're going to be stuck buying in these shares. That's just how it goes. While that's going on, GTI is working on the 1-800 deal, which closes April 1st. West Christian filing the lawsuit against this. So even though we have a nice store here now, West is going to stick his thumb in the wound and squeeze it back and forth to add more pain to it. We want discovery from the depository trust of what's going on here. Okay, we go to the state court, the Southern District, and this is what's going to happen here. The company has this evidence. Remember, the black hole on Wall Street is finding out how many shares are owned by the brokerage community. I put up the diagram before. The DTC has a certain amount of shares. All the brokerage firms, we don't know what they own. That's where the naked short lives. Not at the DTC, but at the brokerage firms. If each brokerage firm owns 10 million shares and there's only 20 million shares at the DTC, there can't be 100 million owned by the brokerage firms. What gets us to that point? Obviously, discovery. Next thing would be a dividend. GTI is probably going to give out a dividend. To you about that. TD Bank was just fined and lost $1.2 billion in a fraud case. Imagine owning a piece of that, only times 10, because we probably got 10. Short sellers are not going to be on the hook for the dividend. Ameritrade, Schwab, Fidelity, all the big boys. Okay, that's who you want to be on the hook. And guess what? When you sue them, there's going to be plenty of money that's going to be left over as a special dividend for everyone who gets their new coupon or their new dividend coupon for the lawsuit. The next step is going to be your 1-800 lawyers. Obviously, GTI now is going to become a law firm. We'll have plenty of lawyers to start suing people who don't get their dividends, right? We'll give out a coupon, $1,000 coupon off your legal fees. Everyone who owns the stock as a shareholder record is entitled to that. So the short sellers, who think it's a joke, they're going to owe everybody $1,000 for every share they're short. I don't know about you, doing the math, that's about $998.50 they're going to lose on each share. Okay, they're playing around with. They're trapped. We're not going away. And someone's going to say, can I address if someone has a fake share? Okay, you address if someone has a fake share. Well, we don't know who has a fake share. It's musical chairs. When we stop the music, the record date tells us and everybody who owns a fake share can raise their hand up, and we can see who doesn't own a real share. That's how crazy it is that we have to reverse engineer this thing and actually expose the naked short by doing a trick like that. That's the only way we can tell a real share from a fake share. Or if you go to the supermarket and you give a $20 bill, they put a yellow marker through it to tell you whether it's real or not. All right? For some strange reason, Andrew Left was killing Etsy about selling counterfeit clothes, but that's a bad thing for them. But it's a good thing for everybody who owns counterfeit shares in the equity market. Someone needs to define counterfeit, what's good or bad. In a Rolex, it's bad. In a stock, it's good. In a Louis Vuitton bag, it's bad. It's very bad. But in the stock market, it's good. I don't know who makes that determination. The word counterfeit is bad for everybody involved here. Okay, but in the equity market, the system allowed these things to come through, and the system is flooded with counterfeits now, and it's our job to force them out. Okay? And if we don't force it out, then the whole equity market is going to collapse because the weight of counterfeits in a system will eventually kill everything. They protect the currency because they're worried about the currency being diluted by counterfeits, and they protected that. That is nothing compared to the billions and trillions that are being counterfeited in the equity market by these hedge funds. We don't know if they're onshore. We don't know if they're terrorists. I don't know how the government doesn't actually follow the money trail. Before I know it, people in the Middle East terrorists that are selling counterfeit shares through Spain, through the UK, the money and using that money to kill us back. If it's not a terrorist, then tell us the names who they are. Why are you hiding their names? All right? But anyway, I believe that the Alpine news is coming to a head. The government's not going to keep giving them an extension. They have to figure out a game plan. I'm sure Winston will be able to serve in between now and then, and this will just make it worse. We have the proof. The DTC told us. The only way to find out a counterfeit share, if anyone who has any more questions, just go read Dole Foods, D-O-L-E, the pineapple company. Dole Foods has too many shares. The story's right there. Remember, you own the stock and you don't get a physical dividend. That means your brokerage firm committed wire fraud, okay, and sent you a statement. They're on the hook. The game plan here is to get the brokerage firms to turn on the short sellers. We need the brokerage firms to force settlement. And the only way they're going to force settlement is we're going to make them pay the price. We're going to beat the shit out of E-Trade, American, Schwab for not doing their job. Stock settlement is part of the process of being a broker. They can buy it, sell it, execution, but stock settlement and getting everyone their dividends is part of the game. All right? You don't need a broker if they're not going to do any of those things. All right? Again, stock settlement, they don't want to settle the trade. We're going to force them to settle the trade. If they don't do it, then we're going to sue the shit out of them, and we're going to get the deep pockets in trouble. That's how this is going to end. We have the proof of the DTC. I know it sounds like a broken record, but just think about it. Not one company, 23 years I've been following this. I don't know one company that's had proof. Taser, Krispy Kreme, go all the great movies, Peloton, great GameStop, A&C, Best Beyond, HKZ. No one standing with a piece of paper saying, hey, here's the naked short, they're at Alpine. From the DTC. Not one. Volkswagen, nobody. No, I could go any name around the globe. I've never seen anybody with proof but GTII. So I didn't see why they gave it to us. It's a gift from the gods. That's all I can tell you. Once GTII breaks, then we can circle around and we can help everybody else out. That's my game plan. That's the people I know. All the hedge funds that I know are in the stock. All the people I know here. We're trying to fix the system. Well, obviously, we want to profit from this mess. The SEC has allowed this mess to continue to grow. Harry Gensler is a disgrace. And people read heart-wrenching stories of people losing their homes, trying to make money for their families. I spoke to one woman, her husband's a military man down in Panhandle. away from the equity market. If you're not in stock that the people are fighting for you, run for the hills. When the stock, everyone wants to get listed on the NASDAQ. When your stock breaks $1 on the NASDAQ, guess what? Your NASDAQ, your good old friend, sends you a notice that you're being delisted because you don't maintain $1 price level. Go read MTT. They just got that letter. As soon as they come out with the letter, shareholders panic, the shorts push it down even further. Because now everyone thinks the company's in bad shape. Why? Because their stock isn't $1? What does it have to do with business? Nothing. They just manipulate it down and use this system that is built to kill companies, and they just keep doing it. And then they make the poor companies, what's the next thing? When you don't make $1 maintenance to get back on the NASDAQ, every company does the same thing. We're going to reverse so we get back on the NASDAQ and be compliant. The short sellers, that's music to their ears. Their positions gets reversed lower, and now instead of being a 50-cent stock, you're back up to $5. And guess what they do? You reduce their short position, and they start shorting again. And in 3 months, you'll be right back down to where you are. That is the U.S. equity market in a nutshell. Complete security fraud, and it's all based on naked short selling because they use the naked short to manipulate the price of the stock whenever they're delivering the shares. And that's what, it's the car wash. They just keep doing it, repeat, rinse, and everybody gets wiped out. GTII has been fighting for 2.5 years. They've fought tooth and nail. The CEO's not diluted. He's done everything proper. And this is the guy that I have no problem fighting for. Okay? This is, I see the end of the line here. And Alpine Securities, Alpine Clearing Firm, the prime broker, they're going down that whole network with them. It's all going to get dragged down. All the rats that are doing business in there, if anybody on this phone has an account there, you tell me what you'd be doing today. Would you stay there? When you know the shit's going to hit the fan? You know everybody's going to start running away. God forbid anybody that's phone is short the stocks there. You're going to sit there when the Feds are starting to look around at a mess that's coming down the road? We all know, I can lean into fast servants. Once they figured out they were going to run on the bank, everyone moved their money out as fast as they could. And how fast they don't want it. All right? So I can't see anyone sitting there, I'm going to open up an account with Alpine today and put all my money in there, which is nice and safe. All right? You know people are pulling it out. All the small hedge fund rats are moving away. There'll be nothing there but a shell. So when the SEC finally says to shut them down, anything that's long, they have to sell. Anything that's short, they're going to have to cover. And they're going to close up all the positions. Who's going to take the look? Obviously, it's going to the DTC. Anyway, that's all I have to say today. Again, this is great news. I can't stop the manipulations doing it across the board. Yeah, my friend just sent me this one out today. XELA. High was 1890. They killed this stock. What is it again? XELA. I posted that this morning. I saw that. It's 7 cents now, down from $18. It's traded 800 million shares today. There's only 122 million outstanding. Who the hell selling a 7-cent stock 800 million times? I mean, you talk about the system flooded with counterfeits. They're everywhere. But those companies can't fight back, or they choose not to fight back. XELA, or MULN, they're just following the Wall Street car wash. They're going to reverse their stocks. The poor shareholders are going to lose, 90% of their investment. Okay, and they're going to say, well, you're still long. We still got a great company. That's Wall Street's way of rewarding everybody, right? Investors murdered. That's what the guy just told me. So I guess stop the security fraud. It's everywhere. Okay, but again, once we go over the hill, little round top, we can get past the Union Army. Remember, the rest of the Union Army, we're going to come around with the back to the south this time. We get through, this changes the war. Anyway, have a great night. We'll speak tomorrow.
We do these things. We go to the moon and the other things, not because it's easy, but because it's hard. That was Ham. And Rudy Myers, thank you, Rudy Myers. Rudy Myers says GTII is halted! Exclamation point! Exclamation point! Exclamation point! Yes, yes. All right, so let me just. Ham mentioned Credit Suisse as I. Taking credit, it's just contextual. But I've heard for quite some time that Credit Suisse, I'd say for the last 6 weeks, I've been, the various things I read and listen to, Credit Suisse is in trouble. I've even heard that Goldman Sachs is in trouble. But I'll just read you some headlines today. NBC reporter goes to Crimea, shocks viewers by telling the truth. That's not the one. The smartest guys in the room. What do market analysts actually do? Rickards. I subscribed to one of his services. The accelerating countdown to Armageddon. Credit Suisse crashes to all-time low, after boosting deposit rates to reverse something. Goldman. Of course, Goldman just pitches their own book. Market feels vulnerable to sell-off today. Blackstone defaults on 562 million CMBS as it keeps blocking investor withdrawal. Collateralized mortgage-backed securities. Bond vigilantes awaken as inflation becomes embedded. And, I would argue that most of you, if you're still listening, do not remember a time when the Fed could not, interest rates, could not control interest rates. And anyway, the bond market, if it wakens up, it'll be like Torah. These are not good headlines. The forces upending the global economy cannot be reversed. Core EU inflation unexpectedly surges to record high. All right, let's go to your questions. Altuna. Yeah, Ham's rant. Ham repeated himself a little bit, but his main message, and I think the reason he kept repeating it, is Steve Mertz. Let me show you. You might have already seen it, but Basama called it to my attention on this was ordered today regarding Alpine Securities, and that's the date up there. That is a 30-day grace period, I guess, before they have to. That's in response to this which we've discussed before, but it might be worth my reading it quickly. On October 28th, 2022, in connection with its application for review, Alpine filed its expedited stay motion requesting a stay of the NSCC's imposition of a $2 million backtesting charge. As noted, the NSCC does not impose backtesting charges under the approved rule change that Alpine used to challenge it. Rather, NSCC imposes these charges under the rule changes that the Commission, the SEC, approved in 2016. NSCC assesses the backtesting charge based in part by reference to the other charges that NSCC imposes under the approved rule change, blah, blah, blah. Just skipping down a couple sentences. NSCC informed Alpine that deficiencies the NSCC observed in September 2022 caused Alpine to fall below its backtesting target, and it attributed the deficiencies in Alpine's, quote, net short portfolios, with the top driver being a concentrated short position in GTII. The NSCC informed Alpine that deficiencies it observed in September 2022 caused Alpine to fall below its backtesting target, and the NSCC attributed the deficiencies to Alpine's, quote, net short portfolios, with the top driver being a concentrated counterfeit position in GTII. So that's what Ham was talking about. And buying time, Ham said just now, is more about they're trying to figure out how to keep the sound of a tree being heard if it falls in the forest. That's going to be some good tennis. Djokovic versus Daniel Medvedev. I think Djokovic will beat him. So NJ, I actually apologize to everyone here. We could listen to it now if I get a few yeses, but I thought that call was at 4 o'clock today. Otherwise, I would have been on. Let me see. This is interesting from CB. Breaker. Fed killing equity markets. We're in the snake eating its tail phase, pulling liquidity from the system. Fed inflation. Yeah, that's true. And on top of it, the system itself is, if you've ever traded on margin, it's in reverse. It can be a killer. But anyway, there's a lot of liquidity drying up, exactly for the reason you're saying. The Fed is tightening. So banks call in their loans. Then whoever they lend it to has to call in. The leverage unwinds. And your analogy of a snake is a good one. I didn't look at the closing prices. Let's look at them. GNS 225, CRTD 1902, AMC 609. Are you out of your mind? 725. GTII. I'll stop there. GTII 133. Richard K. MMTLP closed at 287. Best Evans. D. Mission is I don't know with this going. No, it's not. Guess we can. Last night or two ago, I was on a call and I was saying, NJ, what you have just said, that I really found it unlikely that they would open it for trading. So I will listen to that call in interest. I can try to find it and play it now if you want me to. That's a good one, Otto. Something the crooks overlooked. Yeah, I know I'm cutting out. Not now, I'm not. But Brad Lincoln, I'm sure in a minute I will. But it's not right now. There's something in the air. John Wicks Nipin, Sean B says, released a video today requesting Adam Aaron either resign as CEO or shareholders vote out. Wow, that's pretty cool. Yeah. Maybe might have to watch the playback tomorrow. I can skip where you cut out. Yes. UK Sergeant? Don't you three us. I'm gonna TKO. No, I'm going to, what's that reference in a restaurant? It's when you're out of something, you call it, anyway, I can't remember, the brain. Well, Martin Giroux, if Alpine doesn't have enough money to cover, is there into a morass like MMTLP? '86. Okay, I think there could be a morass in terms of timing and et cetera, but it won't be like MMTLP. They won't stop trading. I mean, I'm projecting the into LLCs. With Alpine as their prime broker, those positions will start to be bought back in by whoever takes over. Alpine will be in receivership, and I don't know who will take them over. I assume it'll be whoever lent them money. But also those shares aren't only at the prime broker. As they go up in other accounts, they'll be bought in. And I think it'll be GTII, but there's several other companies that the Kramers creamed. And it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be pretty. It's going to be good for you, but even in the middle, if it happens, even the middle of your flush of excitement of how high your stock goes and money in your account, you're going to feel a little ill at ease at watching probably, I'm going to guess, a major prime broker go down or get taken over by another one. It's big. As Ham said, he uses 325 million shares that need to be covered. I heard it could be much more, but we have to caution that it is also possible that the number is less. But until Gary Gensler, by the way, doesn't look at over-the-counter stocks. So until someone at FINRA somewhere actually does the homework on what the number is, we just have to go on our best estimates. And I was on a space call. I'm trying to remember my memory. I need to eat bananas or something. Pedro. Really fascinating. And I hope I get to talk with him again. While I was talking to him, someone texted me, "You're hogging the mic." So I cut it off. But Pedro said, number one, he thinks the system's on the verge of there's something going to happen that's going to go wrong, like GTI taking off or another one. But I'm trying to remember what I wanted to tell you. He said, it skipped my mind. It was about the prime brokers. Anyway, I'm sure my feeble brain will come back to it. Stopping trading, I don't think that'll happen in GTII. I know it seems like everyone's against you and us, but a lot of this is people like the Kramer brothers and Philip Vallier and the rest pushing their attorneys or morality. It doesn't enter into it. They're trained not to care about the truth, not to care about what's right and wrong. They're only trained to look at what evidence has been entered in the case. They'll even argue that the sky isn't blue if the opposing side failed to enter that evidence into the court's binders by the deadline required. Your Honor, we can't agree that the sky's blue. Counsel forgot to state that in their filing, which was due on the 29th, and the judge will rule, well, you didn't get it in time. The legal system is overwrought, and I'm not going to say it's useless, because right now it's the only thing that is going to try to get your MMTLP and other situations aired out. But there's very few lawyers that are as plain spoken as Wes Christian. You're going to get lawyers saying, well, like the guy from, well, the first thing we got to determine is why the stock price is down. What? You got to determine why it's hire you because there's been stock in our stock, but you first want to determine why the stock price is. Yeah. The only way to get these bastards, I'm telling you, the only way to do it is to make them lose a lot of money. It's the only way to do it. I'm feeling like I didn't answer that question, but I think if Alpine goes down, your shares go up, and they won't stop trading. All right, Richard K. William, or Will I am. I have raised my target price to $8.50 a share for MMTLP. I think the next bridge release was a hint at a much bigger value to oil assets. Well, we talked about that. I'm just amazed. There's so many smart people out there. And I threw out my $5 oil in the ground per barrel number. Now, one guy pointed out, Richard, that in some of the estimates, and I've never heard of that before, which doesn't mean always something in oil and gas, but they had based some of their estimates of barrels on 40-gallon barrels, not the 52 or whatever it is, whatever the difference is. So that would imply there might be less oil, I suppose. On the other hand, there was some discussion whether the shallow oil they announced had originally been included. And I was asked my opinion. I think the shallow oil, just, off the top of my head, I'm not an oil engineer, but my guess is that the 3,100 locations they may have in shallow oil at MMTLP at NextBridge may just bring the 4 billion barrel number up from 3P to 2P, or bring more of it up. Once they drill a few, might bring it up to some of it, obviously, up. It's at 15th and P. And I always tell people, I sometimes go down to 15th and P. It never fails to get just uproarious laughter. But when I threw out my $5, one guy said, that's really low. So, yeah, I think... Okay, I can talk again. So, Richard, they said my number was low. And if instead of using I think I used 3.2 million barrels, just go ahead and use the high end of the range at 4 million barrels because of the announcement, just like you said. So if you use 4 million barrels, billion barrels. It's billion, right? 4 billion barrels. I'm sorry, I don't know why my barrels survived. So that's what I come up with, Richard. 485. What I did is my either 3 or 3.2 billion barrels, and I used $5. But as you point out, that announcement was powerful. I'm using the high. I'm using the high end of the range, 3.2 to 4 billion. I'm not even sure that's the high end. There might have been more, but instead now I'm using 4 billion barrels at $20 because of that announcement. I have no idea if it's a fair thing to do, but if you use 4 billion, $20 a barrel, and 165 million shares, I get $485 a share value of Nextbridge right now. So that's 500 smackers. So your 850 isn't far off. What did Ace in the Hole say, Sean B? Yeah, I'm close to the White House. You're annoying with all the dropouts. I know. Ook state agent, I'm gonna fix that. I've got to fix it. I made some calls today. I'm the worst techie ever. But I'll fix it. It's annoying. I totally, Martin, it totally. I used $20 in the ground for 4 billion, Tostrup 43. But in all my previous estimates, I just did that right now. I used $5 a barrel for 3.2 billion. And remember, that leaves out 7 TCF of gas that John explained on a different space call. Hey, DC, I know the stream's a mess. I got to fix it. I'm sorry I let you guys down. Is Ace here? Ace is the place with the friendly hardware man. So Ace, hey, so is Ace here? If Ace is here, there's Ace. So Ace in the Hole, I've got a question for you in your judgment. Is the good news at CNLV better than the what I see as quicksand of the announcement that they did they put a red herring out there to do a financing with what even though it's a big one, what I consider to be a front for the shorts. But I don't know if I'm right. So that's my question, Ace. Not to put you on the spot. Well, GTII at 132. Jenny L, I was just going to look. But I want to show. I want to show you something on GTII. This is I for penny mover. I want to show that at 130. It's at the low end of this green line that he's drawn. This, I think, is a reasonable interpretation of what's ahead, within a lot of fluff, it's not going to do exactly that, of what's ahead for GTII. I don't think that's bad at all. That's I for penny mover. The whole, yeah, Ace, you do a great job. You don't have to look up. I'm sorry. Apologies to all of you. It's like I'm in the... I don't know. I can just... all right, there we go. Yeah, I forgot who I'm answering right now, but Stony, I was really... I might have to end this. I may just have to end this. But I'm not ready to pull the plug on it because it's a good story. And in fact, there's no proof what they're doing is a toxic formula note. And because they just hadn't updated that section of the prospectus. So yes, I was depressed last night, but I don't have enough facts to know. But Stony Bones, I think as it runs up, then they'll start selling it down, just like with COSM. They ran COSM up to $24 intraday. Then they crushed it, did the deal at $11.50. Ah, damn it. Might have to end this. I might have to end this. Restart. I might just power down. Yes, SATA, 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 SATA. SATA, yes, you are entitled. You are entitled, SATA. Yeah, I got to do something. So it's 4:30. I'll try to get to 5 o'clock. But did anyone, Kiefer Sullivan, what's this with the negative waves? Unplug. This... What is it, Callahan? Your computer system ain't making it. I think they're attacking it myself, but I'm starting to think I'm. No, I'm actually coming to. No, it's you. It's not me. It's you. Do you remember, Hobson, when we used to play hide and seek, and I would go hide and you would never find me? Do you know I never once looked? All right, go to bed. I'm going to get a better going. And I may shut this down because I may just shut it down and we'll come back tomorrow. Down easy, Lord. Ride me on down. All right. Lay the word in the dust where I lay. Say I was easy to come and easy to go, and easy to love when I stayed. Yeah, wired connection. I got to do something. So maybe that'll be my goal tomorrow, is get a better, will tomorrow be better? You know, that Brian Langstaff could come from Chauncey the gardener. Tomorrow will be better. Yeah, I'll do that. But what I might do is just shut down and we'll do it tomorrow. We'll do it live. No one gets that. I give up. Chauncey Gardner. Yeah, I think Ace, I just don't know what else to do. Ace, maybe sometime when I get a better system, you and I can do a ping pong presentation. You handle the charts, I handle the bullshit, and then we can make everyone happy. Hi, Cindy Lou Who, the BSing. Yeah, Peter Sellers was amazing. There's some other roles he was pretty good. That was a priceless Steinway. Not anymore. It isn't. He's so, boys. Am I glad to see you? There's nothing better than a closet ploy. Chauncey Gardner. Yeah, I thought you said that wasn't your dog. No, that your dog. We'll do it here. We can go a little bit. The call last night gave me a lot of encouragement on MMTLP, but I share what NJ said that she gleaned from the call that she listened to today, that I don't think it's going to be opened up for trading. But I don't think that means you're not going to get a good reward. I expressed my betwixt and between feeling right now on CLNV, but I think whatever they do, they'll do it from higher prices. So there is that. And yeah, he fell in love with Sophia Loren, I think. He had a bad ticker, and he would use cocaine, but he wouldn't get his heart, and that's why he died early. Birdie Num Num. Is that your Minky? Bim. It's the exploding kind. His best lines, he goes into the Halloween store to get costumes, and he's asking the Harvey Korman and Harvey Korman's wife for costumes, and he settles on them, and he's at the cash register, and he says, "Oh, that nose, it is so exquisitely ugly. I simply must have that nose to add to my costume. And of course, it's Harvey Korman's wife. And Harvey Korman says, Monsieur, that is my wife's nose. And Clouseau recovers instantly. He says, oh, yes, ah, yes. And it suits you perfectly. Yeah, apparently Coke is what did him in. Well, what was I saying about MMTLP? What I think on MMTLP probably isn't as important as what John may have said earlier and will say tomorrow. But to me, the way out of this is a settlement. If it goes the legal route forever, they can't control the cost. To open up trading, they can't control it. Plus, I don't know how you design the monopoly board for the trading. I don't know. What would fear me, if I were you and I am you, is if they open up trading and they give us a deadline to sell, and if we don't have anything. Well, then it instantaneously makes our chits worthless. So I'm okay that they don't open up trading, personally. It doesn't mean I don't acknowledge the pain. I think a settlement, and I've told you about one where the criminals and the system gives a lot of money to NextBridge, and NextBridge issues additional shares. You get your shares plus a huge cash distribution, and you're in a great company. The other thing I thought of last night is almost interrupted. If you looked at it like what they were talking about last night is Chevron might be the buyer of NextBridge. I have since heard that it might be a different oil company, but regardless, it doesn't matter. None of us know. But if Chevron were to buy NextBridge with publicly traded shares, then the system, the brokerage firms, have all this fake shares in your accounts publicly, well, for a while anyway, publicly traded of MMTLP. And if Chevron had bought it right away, it would have just gone into fake shares in your account of Chevron. And that happens all day long. In this case, if Chevron's going to buy them, it's kind of like they hit a road bump that it was private for a while. But if Chevron comes in and buys NextBridge with Chevron stock, it kind of closes the gap because they can stuff your accounts with entitlements. Let's say Chevron pays 2 shares of Chevron. That'd be around $300 and some, $320, $330 to buy NextBridge. So instead of each 1 share of MMTLP, you would end up with 2 shares of Chevron in your account. It doesn't matter. You can buy and sell it. There's a problem. This is $1 trillion to $5 trillion error. That's what it is. It's an error. It's if Richard K's numbers are right, if my last calculation at 500, it's a $5 trillion error. It's massive. Well, you can't just wish it away. Wish it away. What's that Elton John song? Wish it away. Anyway, you can't. It won't disappear. So in my second situation, Chevron would be probably pretty upset that the system suddenly had trillions of dollars more Chevron shares out there, it kind of diluting the price of Chevron. So my solution there in both of my ideas is the DTCC has to be the backstop of the trillions of dollars in losses, whether they pay it to NextBridge to issue shares to the criminals, or if Chevron came in or someone came in to buy, DTC would probably have to give Chevron $1 trillion or $3 trillion. Anyway, those are my cockamamie ideas of trying to get a settlement done. before this goes on too long. But already Wes Christian is telling Ham that people in Congress are calling Wes, and, you know, Wes is going to be a movie star soon. He's going to be on all the I'm not sure the system wants that to happen. I just really don't. So I think they're going to try to settle quickly, like next month. But I'm making a lot of asses out of you and umption. Steve on Guinness. Yes, they spell error, rut-row. They say it's it is crime. One thing is this, since I'm here, it would be logical that I would go down and talk to these congressmen and all that. But it's already gotten to the point they want to talk to Wes, and I'm sure Hamilton and probably Frommer. But I think they should be talking to, rather than all of those, I think they should bring the hamster in and talk to him. But I'd go down and talk to him. I'd go in the rooms. It is a tragic tale. He had a great sense of humor, and apparently he would make everyone laugh around him, but I think he had a lot of pain. Yeah, Brian Langstaff, I think it does need a pain and suffering. Dr. Strangelove. Maybe my neighbor stopped watching Narop. I don't know if I finished what I was saying on MMTLP or said something completely new, but I think Ace is right. MMTLP is going to be okay, just got to let it play out. I think it's going to be the catalyst for others. I think that's right. The songs of the old days. Birdie Num Num. Well, it's suddenly working now that people have left. Yeah, they are greedy. Yeah, he couldn't be himself. And he couldn't be himself. I think that's right. I think that's right. It's sad. Thoughts, Tom McCartney, thoughts on the upcoming games brokers will be playing based on the news of Alpine. My guess is, Tom, that the brokerage firms have already been notified about GTI, the trade at Westpac, and that it's already on some sort of compliance list in-house. But further, my guess is they have no idea about the updates on this court case. So I don't think they're going to be doing anything until there's the judge makes her ruling. But you might get annoyed with me, but I don't assume that TD Ameritrade or the other brokerage houses are in on this fraud. They are in the sense that they look the other way. The example I often use is if you walk into a room with your friends and beautiful girls, because it always attracts them, and they're all, cutting lines and using cocaine, are you going to turn them in, or are you just going to go grab a beer and join and look the other way? I think these brokerage firms, if they really spent some time thinking about it, would realize there's fraud going on, but they look the other way. And So in that sense, maybe they're part of it, but I really don't think they're going to play games. I think what they would do if the judge were to rule that Ameritrade is going down, they would put compliance officers on the runs and say, let's go down our clients that are short, that owe us GTII, and let's start calling in those failed to delivers. And what you guys are doing with MMTLP and these other stocks is the system runs along fine with all these fake shares and all these counterfeit shares because there's no demand on the system all at once. So if for some reason, let's say the retirement fund of California wanted to take 10% of the MMTLP shares out of their account and get them into registered name, into paper hands. Yeah, I'm talking about a different situation, not right now, back when it was trading. That would cause some stress, but the brokers would say, well, just give us 60 days, and then they'd go about playing reindeer games, buying some here, trading there, closing some of the failed to delivers. But the other 90% of the fraud trading in your account, no one would know about. The only reason this is catching out the system is it's I don't know what to compare it to, but it stopped the music, and there aren't enough shares. But no one knows that when it's just humming. It's hard to explain. The best thing I give as an analogy is that it's the fractional reserve securities system. And they're just counting on the fact that 85 to 95% of the people are just going to leave their accounts alone. And this is an event that meant that 100% of the people need they need their shares all at once. So to take that analogy further, if you have 1.1 billion shares stuffed in the brokerage accounts, and there's only 150 million shares that are real, that 95% of people that just leave the shares alone, they count on that. It's the 5% that are paying attention and might ask for the shares, might transfer them out, but they've got enough shares to handle that. I think I'm stretching my story too long, but I don't think the brokerage firms are going to play games once Alpine goes down, until Alpine goes down. Once the ruling happens, I'm not sure they'll play games. They may be acquiescing to a system that Ken Griffin and Goldman Sachs, etc., have created because it's in their best interest. Just like I said, if I walked into a room with model, good-looking girls and guys, and they're, maybe I stay and I don't call the cops because the chicks are hot. Well, maybe the brokerage firms don't call the cops because the commissions are good and the fees are good. And why rock the boat? It's all working fine. But when Alpine goes down, TD Ameritrade, Fidelity, Schwab, the rest, in my opinion, they're not going to want to commit fraud. I don't think they'll play games. I think they will rapidly cover their rear ends and buy back shares, try to locate shares, and that begins the buy-ins that causes the squeeze, in my judgment. So my answer to you, and I think it might have been Tom, is that I don't expect the broker-dealers to play any kind of games at all. I think rather Rather, they're going to start making sure they follow the rules, which will lead to the buy-in. Yes, I'm shocked that there's gambling going on here. Hot chicks disable men's brains. Yeah, briefly, but briefly. I hope I'm right too. The great scene in that Casablanca movie, my favorite, is when Rick goes to the bar and he's signing chits, and there's a blonde, actually attractive young woman going, "Oh, Rick, I waited for you. Where were you last night?" "Well, you were supposed to meet me for dinner. How about tonight? Why don't we have dinner tonight?" And he's standing there, and it's happy hour. I don't make plans that far in advance. I love that line. Jewelry affairs. It feels like there's somebody watching me. It feels like there is no way we will win. We just lose money. Well, jewelry affairs, it certainly feels that way. And I've had a lot of clients who have felt that way. And you know what they found? That's the feel, felt, found closing method. I understand how you feel, jewelry affairs. And I've had some of my clients who have felt the same way. And do you know what they found? Anyway, I think jewelry affairs, one of the mistakes, and everybody's vulnerable to it, is moving money around to the newest shiny object. And the second thing that I think has been a mistake, at least one that I've made, over the last 2 years, there were waves of uplift in GTI to 2, to 4, to 3, to 9, to 4, to 2.5, a lot of different times where, at least on the margin, one could have taken their original money off the table and maybe bought back and done it again and again, but a minimum taken your original, have a original money off the table. And that's a mistake, unfortunately, that I've made with most of you, but a lot of you have traded it very successfully. I don't think Violent Affair, or I forgot, I don't think we're Jewelry Affair. I don't think we're destined to lose, or that we have to lose, but it's a difficult business trading. You have to pay attention. While you look away to take care of your daughter or go down to the drugstore or go to work, the criminals just keep criming. They just keep criming. Boom, 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 boom. They're relentless. They're relentless. He'll keep coming. He'll keep coming. It's what he does. It's all he does. And that's all they do. So I think your best chance of making money right now is MMTLP, because the system owes you something quite valuable. And if you don't get it, or something close to it, I think there's going to be lawsuits that go on and on and on and on and on, and they'll make Hunter Biden's laptop look like it came from purgatory rather than hell, because I think the regulatory bodies, the bought politicians, even Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley, Gensler, they're all going to be in hell for a long time if they don't take care of you and what you're owed. And you've got big boys on your side. So I just don't think MMTLP is the one to worry about if you're in it, jewelry affairs. I told you yesterday The zero in your account is because this is an entitlement, and as one guy told me today, it's a liability really, on the brokerage statement that doesn't trade. They can't get a price. But that doesn't mean it's zero. It really doesn't mean it's zero. And what's going on in the back rooms is exactly what Richard Kay just showed you. He wants $8.50 a share. The big boys want more than that. A lot of people would just settle for getting their money back. So you got a wide range of feelings about what it's worth, but you're going to see what it's worth soon with the Roth, in my judgment, with the Roth capital financing. Yeah, everybody could be corrupt everywhere, but my experience in the oil and gas business, in the financing business, on Wall Street, the majority of people, a big majority, 95% or more, are conscientious, hardworking, honest people. And jewelry affairs, the only way you can lose money is obviously if you overpay for a stock, like you buy HNRC after it runs up, or you buy COSM after it runs up, that we all understand. In the case of GTII, you're either holding or buying a stock that your risk now is $1.30 to the downside in return for massive upside. That's the risk reward. The only way you can lose with that is if the assumptions are wrong, they'll never buy it back. And the Kramers are going to drive it back down to a penny a share. If those are the realities rather than the assumptions we've made, which I think are very well thought out assumptions, predicates, I don't think you can lose money in GTII. Now, you can lose it trading it. You can lose it panicking out. And there's all sorts of things that could come from left field that I can't predict, and I have no crystal ball. But if in your investing, jewelry affairs, if in your investing you try to study, like Jimmy Rogers always, listen to some idiot on YouTube, invest in companies and situations that you know, because then your nose will tell you when it's cheap and tell you when it's dear. But if you buy stocks like GTII at $1.30 and they're about to acquire 1-800 Firm, they might be a lithium mine soon, and the lawsuits are going out, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and you have management that will not sell shares like CLNV or COSM. You've got to set up money is you overpay on the way in, you panic out on the way down, you sell before the squeeze ever happens, which might be the right thing to do. Maybe the squeeze never happens. But your best shot of making money is to apply your cash when no one else wants to buy the stock and take money off the table as it goes up to get your original money out, and then maybe let the rest run. I was always taught by manager after manager, sales manager, office manager, people that would come in and train us, and older brokers. If you buy a stock, if it goes up if it doubles, sell a third of the position. If it goes up more, another double or 50%, sell another third, and then leave the last third to run. I never really did that much. But the point is, manage your money, and then you don't lose on it. Unfortunately, I feel like a lot of these companies are all jumping in because they see this group of investors, and there's only a few of you watching, but there's so many on the space calls and so many more. They run it company funded. I can get my stock price up so I can go do a financing. That's COSM. Maybe it's CLNV, and I certainly think CRTD got caught up in it. I'm not disparaging anybody. It's just a natural thing. Wow, this is a solution. But there's so many coming after to a finite group of investors that hopping from one, we all have limited resources. So hopping to a stock that has run up is a way of losing money. You have to try to buy while the stock prices, if you know the story, while the stock prices look cheap. And then Violent Jewelry, I forget the full name, your cost is time. Your cost is time. But eventually, if you've lined up the 5 or 6 or 7 points that tell you, Warren Buffett does it with value stocks. In the case of GTII, I don't think you're arguing value. You're arguing a setup for a squeeze. But there's also some value that might come in. But you line up your facts, you write them down, you write in your notebook why you invested. And when you get your nerves running, you look back at it. Have any of those predicates changed? Has the story changed? Have they done a financing all of a sudden? I did look on the CLNV financing. It's only 23 million shares at the most versus 450 million shares outstanding, which doesn't seem that bad. The trick is finding out how many shares they counterfeit, so to speak, fail to deliver in advance of that offering so they can give the money to after they drive the price down from a higher number. Remember, with COSM, they traded for days and days and days, got it up to 24. To be really simplistic, as an example, what they sold at 24, they gave to the company at 11.50, closing out a lot of their fails to deliver. That's really simplistic because you have to average the volume in it, but just to illustrate a point. So Violent Jewelry, I know it feels like we always lose money, but I hear every day people bought into HRNS or GN, whatever Roger Hamilton's companies. Stories where people are making money. I think Ham would tell you that GTII went up. Why didn't you take some money off the table? I'm not quite as harsh as that because Ham is a trader with a D, not a T, trader. And that's a trader's mentality. But frankly, it's a good mentality because it means when you have profits, you take it off the table and you have confidence that you can make profit the next time, the next day even. My situation is different as I look at it. I like the setup of all the facts, the assumptions, the predicates. Try to buy low, and a lot of people are doing it, averaging down. When the event comes, that's when I want to get out, not trading back and forth because I don't want to miss the event. But yeah, it's difficult to make money in the market. I can't remember, antique jewelry. It's not that easy. And I'm sorry, it feels like you're always losing. And I really don't have easy advice. It's, trading takes some focus. It takes some nerves of steel. And, but I think you're going to be okay in MMTLP. And I wouldn't be suggesting GTII if I didn't believe it would work. And there's some other stocks I've recommended and intend to recommend. So just hang in there. I don't think you're going to lose money, not only in the long run, but I don't think you're going to lose money in the much more nearer time frame. What about AITX? I know Zippo about AITX. I can try to look it up. That's a good point, Carter's World. You only lose if it goes to zero. And, I bought calls on Finger at recommendation of people that I trusted. And for not a lot of money, but for 3 months in a row, 3 monthly cycles in a row, lost it all. Why? Because the time ran out and they drove the price down. These are like call options. To pay $1, the closing price was $1 something. To pay $1.30 for GTII right now, there's risk. But $1.33. But like Carter's World just said, there's no expiration date other than if the company makes a mistake. So your risk is $1.33. Whether you hold it now or you buy more now, it's $1.33. The criminal's risk, if they short more now, is, I don't know, maybe they can make 25 cents, 50 cents. As they push it down, they're getting a lower and lower average in return for unlimited loss on the upside. It's a really bad trade, and it's a sign of desperation. The point is well taken, though. These are like buying a 90-day call option without the time limit of 90 days. You can just hold the shares for a long, long time. Put the GTC orders in, go about your life. Tell yourself, if you're stressed out, you should lighten up on the position maybe. Maybe one thing to do is, I'm going to sell enough so I can pay my credit card bills for the next 6 months. Then I'm just going to put in my GTC orders and I'm going to go listen to a country song. Not sure I'm bullish on liquid natural gas. I'm extremely bullish on oil prices and natural gas prices. The problem with both is the pricing is done in New York and Chicago, and in the case of natural gas, it used to be anyway, it still is as far as I know, at Henry Hub and at Cushing, Oklahoma. So a lot of the price everybody pays for oil and gas is based on the marginal barrel. So it's lower, I think, right now. But if the world consumes 100 million barrels of oil a day and produces 100 million barrels of oil a day, how do you come up with that price? It's the barrel on the margin. And it's manipulated. The price of oil is manipulated just like the rest of these assets. But if, like happened 2 or 3 years ago, I forget how long, it happened to Torchlight, everybody, there was no storage at Cushing. So the price of oil, and with futures and all this other financial, the price of oil actually went negative for a while. How can that be? Well, it's just the price is set on the marginal barrel or the marginal MCF. But I'm extremely bullish on oil and on natural gas. I get conflicting information. The CEO of Carrizo told me that there's a lot of behind pipe natural gas. So as prices go up, companies just turn it on, and it brings the price down. And that's something to think of. But who knows? I don't think we're going back to $1, $2 natural gas. And there's plenty of room for profit in it. Oil, I really think the world's in la-la land on oil. There's theories out there that oil somehow gurgles up from the deep and will never run out. There's some ideas that I've mentioned before that we can go in and get the oil that's left behind, perhaps. But the world was endowed with, I can't remember, I think it's 2.7 trillion barrels. We might find something somewhere. But for large part, the oil's been found around the field. There are no new discoveries. Anticlines have been located. There's some places that haven't been drilled. But in general, I think it's 2.7 trillion, whatever. But we've consumed more than half of that. And the idea that the rest, and this is one difference I have with Trump, but it's not his fault or anybody's fault, but the idea that we can continue to live the way this miracle of a resource has allowed us to live for the last 150 years, it's not going to be possible. And I'm not saying life's going to be a nightmare, but every oil field declines, every discovery declines, and I think in your lifetime, oil's going to go up massively. 6 months, 6 years, anyone's foolish to predict prices in the very near term, but I think supply and demand is going to change the price of oil dramatically. But, then I read things that in China, in Japan, Europe, and it might be a reason that Biden has opened up the border and just lets anybody in, whether they're a terrorist or carrying the sweetest in the post-industrial, maybe you call us, birth rates are declining. And if the population collapses over the next 30 years, so that might offset it. But I'm extremely optimistic on what they call the secular commodities. Yeah, that's true, David Sukumel. That's absolutely right. I believe it's a fossil fuel. There are theories out there that it's not. So, reader, finger at 350. You're going to be okay. You know why? Lynn Partners is in trouble, and I think that Finger's going to hire him to help as an IR guy. Yeah, Michael Quintero, GTII, when you ask these questions, I just got to say, it's like the Chinese fortune cookie. You know the old joke You open it up, your life will be very happy. The joke was add in bed. You will soon meet friends in bed. Well, if you, on all of these questions, if you add in a squeeze, yes, my targets are massive on the upside. Absolutely. Fingers approaching $1. I asked last night on a call, and I was chided to keep my questions to myself, kind of. But I think the one problem of being on the NASDAQ, I think the Lynn partners and the rest of the people helping them are able to manipulate that price with contracts, not necessarily ones you see. I always think of that movie, The Big Short, when they went into the brokerage firms and they made contracts. The guy last night, Pedro, said, those are just swaps. And he's right, swaps, whatever you want to call them. I think there might be a lot of manipulation that we don't see in the finger price. And clearly we see the price action, so it must, that as I understand it now has $15 million in cash. I know Sharif Suki. I know Sharif Suki personally. He wouldn't remember me. Oh, God. Serenity now. Serenity now. I know Sharif Suki. When he came to London raising money, anyway, I know him. I don't think, that was years ago, I don't think he would remember me, but I remember him very well. We held meetings with a lot of clients, and I remember him very well. Thon Lee, the 1-800 law firm is anticipated to be finished on or around April 1. At this point, I expect it to be finished, but I also caution you're dealing with lawyers and auditors. I would give it 75% chance of closing on or around April. Reason there'd be delays. But they would be able to do the dividend straight away, whether or not it's on upstream or not, but they would do it. Might go to the 130, sure. RNVA to $1, really? It's hard to believe, but I'll listen. It is shocking what they've done to finger. Yeah, look, I'm near the White House. And maybe that's what happens. But I'm gonna go see if I can upgrade my equipment. But I do know Sharif Suki. I didn't know this till. Shanir. I know the guy that gave him the idea of getting the stock symbol LNG. It's a small world. GTII could go to 2,000, I think, or higher. But in a spike. Yeah, I know, Christian. I don't know what your question is about Shanir. He's a pretty smooth guy. I liked him. No theta. Are you trading on margin? No, I don't trade on margin. Hey, reader. Lovely reader, reader made. Yeah, reverse splits. Reverse splits aren't bad. There's a company, hey, US 1 Tahoe, did I ignore you? I'm sorry, it's been interrupted, but reverse splits. Who censors Ham when he says something important? That's Tony Sarah. Yeah, David Hensley, I get your joke. I don't know who censors him. Maybe he does. But all I can say is times when Ham has called me with information, and for whatever reason, I feel, oh, wow, that's neat to be in the know. He tells you the same information. He's what's the word? There's no affect there. He just shares it. So I don't know who would censor him other than if it's a legal requirement not to say it. That's the one George Jones song I don't like, is White Lightning. But everybody else likes it. How is my gambling problem going? I don't know. You be the judge of it. You be the judge of it. All right, I answered, I think, the questions. Answer the question. Caroline, sweet Caroline. The extension is, look, what they call wealth advisor now that works. I used to work, this is my old office. He's really good with, almost in his brain, he can analyze risk reward and judge something, a opportunity to act on or avoid. But he once pointed out to me, no. My view now is they don't allow margin because they don't want us counteracting with leveraged position their sellings. But anyway, what this guy pointed out to me is you're already on margin when you're trading over the counter stocks. You buy it at 250, it goes to 3. That's a nice move. But if it collapses to 125, you're down 50%. And to get back to 250, that's 100% move. He said to me, he said, Haas, they're already on margin. They're already on margin. And I get his point. I take his point. Maybe if he, Perry Cuomo, zip, zip. I would say if the choice is between CRTD and finger, and you're not taking into account the distributions that CRTD, you don't want all that complication, I would buy finger right here. Well, Chud McGruff, how can they allow a Chinese stock to run up and then pull a U3? It is fishy. Apparently that deal was done through a group called Loop, L-O-O-P, Capital, the Loop in Chicago, a company either in the same building or à côté, Citadel Securities. And I know it's all conspiracy theory unless you hear about it on The View or Samantha Guthrie on MSNBC or Morning Joe. Unless you hear it through those, it's all conspiracy theory. But there were a lot of views that Ken Griffin and the other aggressive traders that got in trouble organized. So they could create collateral versus their positions, which had gone from having marginability to not having any at all by some edict. I can't remember. Place my bet. Nobody knows how much money was lost in MMTLP. I think the way to get on with lives, there's so many stories though of people that, but I think with MMTLP, there's nothing to do. We're just going over it and over it and over it and over it. But there are actions like with Congress and the organizations that a lot of talented, hardworking people are doing that are going to have an effect. Because you can't sell MMTLP. Maybe list your shares on Craigslist. And I'm serious. I'm not being a jerk. List them. So the shares change names automatic, that, in other words, there'll have to be some purchase sale agreement that automatically or with a little effort on your part or their part allows them to change the name of the shares into their own name without having to go back to you. It has to be a binding contract. But you could sell your shares on Craigslist and maybe some people would buy them. But otherwise, I just think with MMTLP, you do have to get on with your life. And the way to do it is say, well, it didn't happen yet. I bet it might happen by the end of March. There's a lot of these people working really hard. I'll continue to listen in on the calls, and I'll dial my congressman, but I'm not gonna let it destroy my ability to watch the game. My sister, when the game, and I said, yeah, but she had no idea. She just said the game. She didn't know which sport, if there was a game, but she always figured there was one. So she said, CLNV, I want to listen. Did I already discuss CLNV? No. Look, CLNV, Michael Quintero and Nick Jeff, and last night on the call I was on, I was just scrolling and I found, because I'm on these, I don't have time to look at news. I should have looked at news while I was talking to you. But if I understood it correctly, in the middle of the day or middle afternoon yesterday, CLNV announced they are getting financing. Mate, let's find it, because why should I can look at it now. And I didn't like it. Why announce it when the stock's 11 cents? It went immediately down to 6 cents. Why not wait till it goes to $1 or $2? But who am I? I'm not the CEO. I can't see what he sees. But I do believe, let me read it to you. Everything is slow. Every connection in my life is slow. I'm still waiting for a phone. See if I have a date. Okay, yesterday, February 28th, but I saw it yesterday. Serenity now. Serenity now. All right. They have closed. Serenity now. Serenity now. Serenity effing now. All right. They have closed a $4 million financing on February 23rd. Well, they announced it afterward. The stock's running up, and now the stock's down. Yesterday it was down. I'm like, here we go again. COSM. It's like nightmare. But rapidly execute its business model. My view, it allows the shorts to rapidly execute the company. I'm just telling you where my mindset comes from. Doesn't mean I'm right. It comes from a hedge fund, a multi-billion-dollar, multi-strategy platform hedge fund with approximately $5 billion in assets under management that seeks to build talent density across all areas of its business, providing its team with world-class resources for optimal results. What a bunch of crap. Who writes these sentences? Anyway, under the terms of the financing, Clean Vision will receive in 2 tranches, $2.5 million upon execution of the documents. Serenity now. Damn it. Serenity now. Serenity now. Serenity now. Under the terms of the financing, Clean Vision will receive funds in 2 tranches, $2.5 million upon execution of all documents. So that might be now and it might be good. And the remaining 1.5 upon filing of a registration statement, S1. Within 30 days of the closing. Now, skeptical me, what I see is delays. So the so-called closing, there's enough time for the shorts, the criminals, to sell stock, give it to this firm. The name of the firm is Spartan Capital Securities, LLC. Well, I just can't help believing. I can't help believing. No, I can't. Clean whole nightmare again. Okay, that. Serenity now, serenity now, serenity now, serenity now, serenity now. So that's the negative, okay? That's the negative. But it doesn't mean I'm right. It doesn't mean I'm correct. Let me say the positives. If, in fact, this money is, whenever it's paid, business formula, and I looked up, the prospectus and they haven't disclosed the formula. But if that money comes in and it is a capital firm with integrity, well, then it's good. Then it's good and it's not a problem.